Great. Good morning, everyone. We'd like to get this celebration started. If everyone take their seats, we'll have a good time together this morning, and then we'll get you back on your way and get your weekend started. But what a great day for our city! What a great day for our country! Great day for our state. Welcome, everyone. I'm San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm pleased to be joined this morning by Congressman Scott Peters. You can applaud. Come on, this is a celebratory day, all right? California State Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan. State Water Resources Control Board Chair Joaquin Escobar. This is a major project for the city, and we have a lot of city leadership here. I want to acknowledge that members of the city council are present. Our President Pro Tem, Stephen Whitburn, Councilmember Joe LaCava, it's his district that we're in, Councilmember Marty Von Wilpert, the chair of our infrastructure committee, Chris Cate, who's district adjacent, just a few 100 feet down that way, Raul Campillo, District 7, Sean Elo Rivera, and did I miss any one of our council members? I got everybody? This is good. Guys, thanks for being here this morning. All right, my apologies in advance. These are fairly lengthy talking points. I will get through them. You will be just fine. But we have to acknowledge this occasion. And Scott and Tony and I were reminiscing about the fact that over the successive councils that we were a part of, the progress on this project has taken a long time, but we're finally here. So the magnitude of today's announcement simply cannot be overstated. We are here today at the North City Reclamation Plant to announce that we have kicked off construction of Phase 1 of the City of San Diego's Pure Water Program. Now, as I look across this audience of San Diego leaders, you all know this, but I want to speak to our neighbors at home. Pure Water is the largest, most ambitious infrastructure project in our city's entire history. This is a big deal, everybody. And none of this would have been possible without so many of the folks who are here today. I'll tell you, this pandemic, this variant has caused us to have to limit the number of folks who could be here today, but I want to acknowledge a number of the individuals because something of this magnitude simply would not be possible without collaboration. And I want to, at the top, thank San Diego Coastkeeper, the Surfrider Foundation, the Coastal Environmental Rights Foundation, and the San Diego Audubon Society for their work in making this possible. For some reason, a lot of them are in the back row, and I don't know why, because they were at the leading edge of this thing back when it wasn't so politically popular, but was so very necessary. You all saw the wisdom of this. These organizations all entered into a cooperative agreement to support Pure Water back in 2014 to try and solve a regional wastewater issue. Now, that effort enlarged beyond the groups I just mentioned to include really important organizations like Scripps Institute of Oceanography, the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, Biocom, the Building Industry Association of San Diego County, the Industrial Environmental Association, San Diego's labor community, our working class folks who make this city work, and our 12 metro wastewater JPA municipalities and special districts that collectively, along with the city of San Diego, serve a population of 2.3 million residents. I want to thank all of these important stakeholders for their support in getting us here together. It takes a village to create a water treatment facility. This is a proof point of that, and I'm grateful that we built this wonderful bipartisan, broad-spectrum coalition to get this project done. So Pure Water San Diego is the result of a decades-long collaboration. It is a phased, multi-year program that will deploy advanced technology to provide purified, recycled water while simultaneously reducing treated discharge into the ocean by nearly 50%. As many of you may know, San Diego currently imports 85 to 90% of its water from the Colorado River and from Northern California. The cost of this imported water has tripled in the last 15 years and continues to rise year after year. The council understands what I'm talking about. With limited control over our water supply, San Diego is more vulnerable to droughts, to climate change, and to natural disasters. Now, initially, we estimated that Pure Water would provide 1/3 of our water supply going forward. Well, I want to give you a headline today. We know now that Pure Water will provide nearly half of San Diego's drinking water supply by the year 2035. With our existing water system, only 8% of our wastewater leaving homes and businesses is currently recycled. The rest is treated and then discharged directly into our Pacific Ocean. The Pure Water program transforms the city's wastewater system into a complete water cycle that maximizes the use of the world's most precious resource, our water. Since 2011, we have produced 1 million gallons of purified water every day right here at our Pure Water demonstration facility, right behind us. More than 50,000 water quality tests have confirmed that the water is safe and that it meets all federal and state drinking water standards. Now, when you drove up today, you saw activity across the way here at Eastgate Mall, from where we are right now. That's where construction crews are doing the initial work to build the new state-of-the-art treatment plant that will take wastewater from here at this facility, put it across the street, and turn it into clean drinking water. That facility is just one of 11 construction projects that make up phase 1 of the Pure Water program. So you understand what I said before about this being the biggest infrastructure project in the city. This is just phase 1. I want to thank Tom Lemon, along with the San Diego Building and Construction Trades Council, the 26 signatory craft unions, and the contractors who are doing the work on phase 1 projects who entered into a project labor agreement a little more than a year ago. This is a big deal for San Diego. This project is of a scope and a scale that will literally create careers for San Diegans. Good paying local jobs that will allow people to put a roof over their head and food on the table for their families for an entire career. This project is enormous, and I'm grateful that San Diego workers will be the ones that benefit from being able to do this construction work. So you say, Mayor, this is a big project. There's a lot of jobs in this. There's a lot of construction. There's a lot of projects and phases and whatnot. Well, the next question is, how do you pay for it? Well, that's why we're here today with some of these great partners. The city would like to thank our federal partners, in particular Administrator Regan and the U.S. EPA, for providing not just one, but 2 Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loans to fund up to $733.5 million for Pure Water Phase 1 projects. That's a big deal, everybody. $733 million. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. A special thank you to Congressman Scott Peters for his leadership in Congress and long before on this particular project, where he's been helping to actually advance critical legislation to support this project. Congressman, thank you so much for your work. That ain't all, folks, though. This takes even more money. So additional funding will come from the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loans worth $665 million from the State Water Resources Control Board. Again, thank you, Chair, for being here today and for your staff at the State Board that help us do this. But again, there's more. In addition, another $80 million in grants. Mayors love grants because those don't have to get repaid, right? That have been secured from federal and state funds. That includes a $50 million grant that was recently awarded to the program in the recently adopted state budget. And let me tell you something, that money is all thanks to our Senate President Pro Tem, Tony Atkins. Tony, thank you so much for helping the city out. The city will receive a $340 credit from the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California for every acre-foot of water produced by the Pure Water Program for 25 years. That corresponds to a credit of $285 million over the life of this agreement. So I wasn't a math major, but you could add up the federal, the state, the grants, the credits. You figure out pretty quickly how we can pay for a project of this size, but you already know why it's important. Our climate's changing, drought is real, we need water, water is life. This is how we're going to get this job done. A special thank you to the San Diego County Water Authority and this Metropolitan Water District for your support in making these credits possible. And finally, you're welcome, finally, it's Employee Appreciation Month at the City of San Diego. And I want to talk to every single worker who's been a part of this project from day one and who helped make it a reality. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge the City Attorney's Office, led by our incredible City Attorney, Mara Elliott, who has been instrumental in making this project a reality. To our fabulous public utility staff, and particularly those folks on the Pure Water team, our wastewater, water operators, finance team, consultants, and others who have been embedded in the organization for so long now to get us to this point. Absolutely Pure Water, everybody. Engineering and capital project staff who oversee Phase 1 construction. James, thank you to you and your team. The city's purchasing and contracting department. Guys, this is over $1 billion worth of contracts that have been let out in just 1 year for this project. The PNC team has been working hard, and I'm grateful. And finally, last but not least, I see Lakshmi in the back row there, to our city's debt management department, our finance department, the folks who ensure that this project is carried out in the most efficient way possible. On behalf of San Diego ratepayers, thank you all for watching the Bucks really closely. You know I'm really cheap, so I appreciate what you guys do to make sure that we save every nickel of taxpayer money possible. So that's a lot. Sound of Freedom, that's about on cue. That's perfect. With that history, with the recognition of the magnitude of scale and of the thanks that we've given to all of those who have made this possible, it gives me great pleasure now to welcome to the podium, again, one of our key partners who've brought this day to fruition, our California State Senate President Pro Tem, the pride of San Diego, I dare say the pride of California, Tony Atkins.
Well, good morning. It's always great to be home in San Diego, and let me start by saying this is a legacy project. And I want to thank Todd for a couple of things. One, he laid out the entire project. He thanked everybody that needed and should rightfully be thanked, so I just get to reminisce. No, seriously, Mayor Gloria, your focus on this before as the council president, when he came to the assembly, he sponsored key legislation that put us in the position to be able to take this project forward. And today he continues to focus. And so I have to say, it is your focus and drive that brings us here today with all of these partners. And a special acknowledgement to the San Diego City Council, because I have been in your shoes. And over the last 2.5, almost 3 decades, to bring this to fruition takes real, direct community leadership. And all the partners that our mayor mentioned are critical, but you got to continue to stay focused, and you have. So I want to acknowledge you. I want to say welcome to the EPA administrator. Mr. Regan, thank you so much for being here. When I heard all of those dollars, I am like, yes, this is a partnership, and we are so grateful. I also have to say it's a real pleasure to extend a warm welcome back to San Diego to the chair of our State Water Resources Control Board, Joaquin Esquivel. We just, with my congratulations, because we just unanimously at the Rules Committee, bipartisan support for him to continue as chair. And it is critical because he understands this issue. And so these partnerships at the local, the state, and the federal level make all the difference for our community in San Diego and, in fact, throughout the state. You know, as we address not only San Diego's diverse water portfolio, which we love in San Diego to brag about, we're proud of that, but how we contribute to the overall master plan for water in our state, in particular in light of climate change and drought. San Diego has long known that we have to diversify our water resources, and to create that portfolio, I went to Sacramento with that history and that mission. And to see and be here today with my former colleague, Scott Peters, now Congressman, and my former colleague, Jim Medaffer, Mr. Water, is really personally a wonderful thing for me. And just because our constituents elected us, as all of the electeds and even the appointed officials in government know, to do public service. And this is the epitome of public service. You know, as Assembly Speaker, I led efforts on a major water bond. It was the largest at that time in history, $7.5 billion, that included issues that had to do with groundwater management plan. But I got to be honest, I became absolutely astounded to learn in my time in the Assembly, with the history of San Diego behind me, taking me to Sacramento, that California, the fifth largest economy in the world, not only had long-term water sustainability issues, but had issues in providing clean and potable water to all of our residents. Now, as a kid who grew up in rural Southwest Virginia in a house with no running water, I have to say, we carried water from a spring. I just didn't see that as possible in this day and time in California, the fifth largest economy in the world. So our efforts to provide clean, reliable sources of water are paramount to our families, our communities, and for our economic viability. So that brings us to today's event, allowing us to gather where the work is underway to set us on a path toward water resilience. This is a result of all those decades of work, dedication, commitment to pure water in the San Diego region. If you know me, and you know those of us involved in this, you know how much we love infrastructure projects. And again, this one is a legacy project. And that's why I did work to ensure this year's state budget allocated $50 million. It seems paltry in light of what you said, but I have to tell you, it takes all of us, and there will be more to come so that we get this done. I have to add my thanks to absolutely the workers who helped us get a PLA, and as Todd said, creating careers. But it's important because if I remember correctly, and I see Jerry Buckowitz here and a number of folks from labor, our projects around water have come in under budget, on time, because of that partnership. So I have to acknowledge that. In addition to the allocation for pure water, I just want to say a couple more things, and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague. This included our budget, more than $5 billion in drought funding in the state budget, which will include investments to improve water supply in smaller, lower-income communities. That helps our large master plan throughout the state. Help for homeowners and small businesses to replace high-water landscapes. I've done that at home. I hope others are doing it. Emergency assistance to agriculture. San Diego County is an ag area, just to remind folks, and local agencies like our water agency here. Immediate one-time investments in water quality, stormwater, species protection, water recycling, and monitoring. And San Diego has always been competitive to take advantage for those dollars. So I want to thank San Diegans for doing their part to conserve water use. Our residents throughout the region, with the support of the Water Authority and public utilities, have committed to water-saving efforts inside and outside of homes and businesses for the past 30 years. Those conservation efforts have become a way of life for us, the San Diego model. I want to again thank everyone, and with that, it is my privilege to turn it over to a friend and longtime colleague. Now, I want to say that Scott is a true leader who's championed this project along with my other colleague, Jim Medaffer. We called Mr. Medaffer Mr. Water. Scott's leadership included all of that: environmental issues, water, leadership as it relates to climate change, following the science to do what we need to do. And so, as Congressman, he continues to be focused like our mayor, and it's a real honor to be with him today as we see the next step in this critical legacy project. Congressman Peters.
Thanks, Tony, and good morning. We've been waiting for decades for this day, right? Decades. In Southern California, we're used to dry and drought conditions, and being water-wise has essentially become our way of life. But statewide drought conditions, further exacerbated by climate change, population growth, and historical overdrafting of our resources, paint a bleak future if we don't chart a new course. Meeting our water needs now is an enduring challenge. As we came together today, we already knew that the ambitious Pure Water project enjoyed widespread support, but news from this week only intensifies the need to accelerate efforts like this one across the country. On Monday, federal officials declared the first ever water shortage from the Colorado River's largest basin. This river is a key water source for over 40 million people in the western United States, including our region, and also maintains 2.5 million acres of cropland. Water is life, and a future without bold changes to make more of it is a frightening prospect. On Tuesday, I had the honor of meeting with White House National Climate Advisor Gina McCarthy, who pointed to water recycling as fundamental to surviving the extreme and crippling drought conditions we will increasingly face because of climate change. And during my first years on the City Council in the early 2000s, many were skeptical of water recycling and actually railed against it as toilet to tap. We were talking about that before. And we reminded them that all water is recycled, that water that we get from the Colorado River does not come from sparklets. And I like to claim that Jim Medaffer and I, and of all people, Donna Fry, were the three people who were first on board with this. And after a number of years of convincing, we really have now unanimous support across the region. There's really no one who's against this. And we've given it a more attractive and accurate moniker, the Pure Water Program, and now a plan to provide nearly half of San Diego's water supply locally in only 14 years is well underway. The Pure Water Program, I also want to mention, has another enormous environmental benefit. I want to say this while the man to my right is listening. It will reduce the amount of wastewater that flows into the ocean from the Point Loma wastewater treatment plant. A bill that I authored, the Ocean Pollution Reduction Act 2, simplified a permit renewal process for the Point Loma plant if the city meets stringent water recycling milestones, which we're going to meet. And Pure Water is precisely the project that allows the city to meet that goal. The bill passed the House with wide bipartisan margin. I think it was 395 to 5. We're still hunting down the 5 people who voted against it. We are working with our Senate partners to get it across the finish line and onto the President's desk, where it will surely be signed. So I want to thank Mayor Gloria for his leadership. I want to thank Tony Atkins, who runs the damn state and brings us a lot of money. Really, we're so proud of you, Tony, and so thankful for all you do for us. You always keep us in mind. And Mayor Gloria for keeping this project going, and while you were on the council, but now as the mayor, it's going to take a couple more decades to be finished. And I really want to thank U.S. EPA Administrator Michael Regan for being here today. We think San Diego is setting an example for the country. We're glad to hear you. We're glad you're here to hear us celebrate it. Michael S. Regan was sworn in as the 16th Administrator of the United States Environmental Protection Agency in March, committed to prioritizing environmental justice, tackling climate change, keeping our air and water clean, and restoring science to the agency as a basis for decision making. Now imagine we're grateful here that someone's restoring science as a basis for decision making, but that's where we are, and we're really happy about it. And he's completing a tour of the state he's taken from north to south, and we're happy to have him with us today. Fun fact, my first job out of college was as an economist at the United States Environmental Protection Agency in Washington, D.C. And if you had told 22-year-old me then that I would be introducing the administrator as a member of Congress, I would not have believed it, but here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give San Diego welcome to EPA Administrator Michael S. Regan.
Well, good morning. So, Congressman, another fun fact. 22-year-old Michael Regan started at EPA as an intern. Way after me. It's great to be here this morning to celebrate a key milestone for this important project, while also announcing the second EPA WIFIA loan to support Pure Water San Diego. It's also fun to be here. Yeah, I can tell no one here is excited about this project. Thank you, Mayor Gloria, for hosting this event and for your steadfast leadership. You know, as EPA Administrator, I've had the opportunity to visit communities all across the country to learn about the importance of highlighting drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure. I've seen firsthand the urgency of modernizing our nation's water infrastructure and ensuring that it can withstand the impacts of climate change, those impacts that the Congressman just mentioned. While local priorities may differ, one thing remains the same. Investing in our water infrastructure is one of the best decisions that we can make to improve the health of our community and the health of our economy. By investing in water infrastructure, we can address critical needs like climate and drought resilience, while at the same time prioritizing quality job creation and setting the stage for long-term economic development, just like you all are doing right here. So that's why I'm excited to stand here with Mayor Gloria, the City of San Diego, and Pure Water San Diego team today to announce our latest water infrastructure loan. We are announcing a $120 million WIFIA loan to Pure Water San Diego to help create a local... announcing a $120 million WIFIA loan to Pure Water to help create local, more sustainable, and drought-resilient water source while protecting San Diego's offshore ecosystem. This WIFIA loan, as mentioned, is in addition to a $614 million loan that San Diego Pure Water previously received. Together, these loans will save the community $500 million, while construction and operation of this project is expected to create 4,800 jobs. I want to applaud the City of San Diego for keeping climate change considerations at the forefront of all of the work that you do. Unfortunately, Californians are seeing and feeling the impacts of climate change with increasing regularity, from more frequent wildfires to unprecedented heat waves. The Biden-Harris administration has made tackling the climate crisis a top priority and a whole of government effort. At EPA, we know that climate stress can often be experienced as water stress, so it's imperative that water solutions are also central to our solutions. We hope to see more innovative projects just like this one all across the country. On Monday, EPA announced that we received 50 letters of interest for future WIFIA and SWIFIA loans. In this upcoming round of funding, we anticipate providing more than $6.5 billion to support water infrastructure projects just like this one all across the country. The projects, the collaboration, and innovative financing that we're celebrating today embody the promise of the bipartisan infrastructure deal, which will broaden the scope of these powerful benefits for communities all across the nation. I'm proud that the Biden-Harris administration continues to raise the bar and push for additional funding for our nation's water infrastructure. Through the water infrastructure deal, EPA would receive nearly $50 billion to accelerate progress of much-needed water infrastructure improvements, including removing lead service lines that disproportionately harm communities of color, addressing PFAS, and improving drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater, again, all across the nation. Approximately $3.5 billion of those dollars would specifically go to addressing California's water infrastructure needs. An investment of this scale and scope would spur job creation and support the foundation for future economic vitality here in San Diego and all across the state. So again, thank you all for having me today, and congratulations to Pure Water San Diego on this important milestone and the $120 million WIFIA loan. Together, we are stronger.
Thank you, Administrator Regan. I appreciate you being here. Please give our San Diego's appreciation to President Biden and Vice President Harris. We appreciate their focus on San Diego. I'm going to give a rain check to the administrator, because as San Diegans know, this ain't representative of our weather, right? We will do better this, and next time just bring more loans. We'll be fine with that too. I'm pleased to introduce our final speaker, as was mentioned by our Senate President Pro Tem before. He's the chair of our State Water Resources Control Board, recently reappointed, and that's as a former state legislator, I know that's a big deal, so congratulations, sir. Joaquin Esquivel. Everybody, welcome him up.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and a pleasure to be here with the administrator, and so much incredible leadership. You know, the mayor said it right. It's collaboration that allows these projects to actually take place. And the state Water Resources Control Board here is all too happy to help in ensuring that we're able to bring these projects to fruition through financing and also loans that helps bring down the cost of what are critical infrastructure that we need to be making. It's not lost on me that we've certainly built out much of our infrastructure in the 20th century for a climate that simply no longer exists. We have to be able to begin making critical investments, generational reinvestments in all of the drinking water, wastewater, and water infrastructure that has been the basis of our economic success in this state. Climate change and this drought, I know, can feel, especially on the heels of a most recent drought as well, a bit insurmountable, but it's not. And critically, it is the local leadership that brings these projects to fruition, and it's alignment with our federal and state partners here that actually allow us to start to address what is a critical and existential crisis. I have to acknowledge and thank the Senate Pro Tem here for her acknowledgement of the million Californians without access to clean and safe water. As we make these investments in our community, we again are reminded that access to clean water, access to sanitation are the basis of economic recovery, are the basis of all of our economies. And if we have communities that don't have access, if we have communities that are left behind, we are not completing the work that we need to be doing in this moment that we're called to. The 20th century, again, we inherited an incredible amount of challenges from. We certainly built out this infrastructure not knowing what we were going to be facing in this climate. But additionally, we have incredible amount of inequities in our society to also reconcile. So as we discuss these investments, as we demonstrate leadership, I just am incredibly fortunate and thankful to be at the board at this time. And thank you all here for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That brings us to the end of our program. Just a couple quick parting notes. I overlooked two key members of our city team. Our Chief Operating Officer, Jay Goldstone, is here. Jay, thanks for leading our city ops staff. As well as our Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Alia Khoury, is here. Alia, thank you for overseeing public utilities. Our City 10, both past and present, we have a number of city appointees who represent us at the Water Authority. We appreciate your uncompensated service on behalf of the residents of the city of San Diego. It comes at the right price. You heard I was cheap before, right? Love that. Thank you guys all for your service to the city. And last thing I wanted to say is maybe two quick things. One is that, as you've heard already, let me just to recap, half of our city's water supply in the not too distant future. Thousands of good local union jobs for San Diegans that can help keep a roof over their head and food on the table. The opportunity to have a more sustainable environment here, to combat climate change directly, to clean up the water that we put into our ocean that is so central to our quality of life in San Diego. This thing is a win all the way around. And for every San Diegan that understands, we're the 8th largest city in the country. We're the 2nd largest in California. A project of this scope and this scale is reflective of the greatness of this community. It is just the beginning. We have to do more big and bold projects like Pure Water if we're going to protect our quality of life, if we're going to save our environment, if we're going to create a space for people to afford to live in this community. For every San Diegan that says, Mayor, you're a pro-housing mayor, where are we going to get the water from? Pure Water San Diego, everybody. This is how we make sure that our infrastructure keeps up with our housing demands. You all know it's too expensive to live here, but we can't allow the water to also crowd people out so they can't afford to live here. A locally controlled, drought-proof resource of water, invaluable. That's why this is a historic day in the city, and I'm glad that all of you could join me to celebrate it. The last thing I want to draw your attention to, some of you may notice it on your way in, we have an easel that displays a piece of artwork. It's a representation of the site-specific artwork that will adorn the new facility that is being constructed across the street. It is commissioned by our city's Arts and Culture Commission. It's called Daphne, and it's created by the artist Christian Muller. It's going to be a 50-foot tall kinetic sculpture that will be activated by the breeze that comes through this community. It's named after the nymph in Greek mythology associated with fountains, wells, springs, streams, and other bodies of fresh water. It's pretty appropriate, right? I look forward to Daphne being erected over this beautiful new facility at our North City Pure Water Reclamation Plant and welcoming generations of San Diegans so that they understand how monumental this day is for our city, how important this project is for our future, and the fact that when they see that facility go up and that artwork welcome them, they'll recognize that there's a bright future for San Diego going forward. Thank you all so much for being here today. I look forward to joining the administrator and our leaders here today to go enjoy a glass of some pure water and see what the future of San Diego holds. Thank you all so much for being here. Sir, great job.